It's Ash from Super Videos back at you for another comic book video. This is going to be my review and discussion for issue 166 of the Walking Dead comic book series, which was called No Surrender. So in terms of events, this issue was actually not that eventful, but there was some cool moments in it, and it felt like it was a build-up issue, but it wasn't that bad. I actually did enjoy the issue. Now let's recap a little bit, and then I'll give my thoughts about it along the way. So the issue actually picks up exactly from where we left off in the last issue, issue 165, where we actually see Andrea is either bitten or there's a bullet graze. Now, in this issue, we basically get confirmation. It's not completely confirmed, but I think at this point we can probably assume that Andrea is actually bit and it's not a bullet graze. So we have Andrea looking at the bite and everything, and Magna is basically saying, "What happened to your neck?" But I love that Andrea says, "God damn it. I said I know. Look around you. We don't have time for this. We have to get out of here before we're all dead." So it seems like even though she's probably bummed and she doesn't look what she's seeing and she knows that she's probably gonna die, but there's no time for her to think about that. She just wants to get everyone to safety and help as much as she can, as long as she's alive to help. So that was very cool. And then they proceed to go towards the herd to move them close to the cliff so they can push the herd over the cliff and into the ocean. So that was very cool. Then we have the scene with Rick and Negan. So Negan is basically clearing out the herd, trying to kill the walkers. Rick is behind him, of course. I love that Negan says, "Let's be realistic. You have one hand." So that was very cool. But then we have some other members of Alexandria coming in. I like that Negan makes a point about them hiding, so that was cool. But they come out and they basically set up a plan to how to get rid of the walkers and how many they see that are left and things like that. As Rick picks up his axe to kill one of the walkers, we have Carl in the back, which was very cool. He kills one of the walkers and it's very cool. The reunion between Carl and Rick was very cool. They hug it out and everything. And I like that Rick immediately asks about Maggie. So he knows if Maggie is there and Negan is there, things are not going to be so smooth. Things are going to go bad. So he's kind of concerned there. But then, of course, Carl tells him that she's alive, but she's not here, which kind of helps Rick a little bit, because Rick at that point knows that he doesn't have to deal with the Maggie and Negan situation at least. But what I didn't like is that we never got to see an interaction between Carl and Negan. So Negan is there, Carl shows up. I would assume that Carl would say something along the lines of, "How the hell did Negan get out? Why is he out here?" But there was nothing, so they kind of breezed over that. I really wanted to see something with those two characters now that Negan is out. But they didn't really show us anything. But then of course we have the walkers coming in. The Alexandrians and Negan and Carl and Rick and everybody else are basically trying to kill these walkers, and then bam, 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 bam. We have the Saviors with Sherry being in charge coming in, basically attacking Alexandria. They're basically there to take the place. We have Dwight there as well. In the last issue, we never saw if Dwight survived or not, so it seems like Dwight is actually alive, which is very cool. He is basically captured. He has his hands on his head and everything. And then we have a standoff between the Saviors and Rick and the Alexandrians. All of a sudden we have Dwight pushing Mark and getting a hold of a weapon and pointing it towards Sherry and the others. So now we have Dwight pointing the gun at the Saviors, and then the Saviors are pointing their guns at the survivors. So there's a very intense moment there, which I really liked. And then there's a moment where there's a tear in Dwight's eye. And that's basically because it's Sherry. We know everything about Sherry and Dwight. And it seems completely normal for Dwight to tear up a little bit in this situation. But we have Rick saying, "Everybody listen to me, stop." He's screaming and everything. And Rick basically manages to get Sherry to stand down so the two of them can go and settle things in a more peaceful way. Now, there's another problem I have. Why didn't Negan step up? I wanted Negan to step up or do something. I know something like that is going to happen in the next issue, but now that Sherry is dead, which we're going to get to, we're not going to get that interaction between the new leader of the Saviors, who was Sherry, and the old leader, who was Negan. So I really wanted to see that, but we never got to see that. But of course we have them going in there, they're basically trying to get to a peaceful resolution, something diplomatic. And we have Sherry saying things like we want out, things like that. So I kind of understand where Sherry is coming from. She doesn't want to be a part of Rick's conflicts, but at the same time, if things are to go bad back at the sanctuary, Sherry shouldn't expect Rick to help. So yeah, it's perfectly fine. Rick is not controlling Sherry or anyone else like that, but if they want out of this network that they have, then Sherry should basically take care of her community herself. She should not expect Rick to help her. So I kind of understand where she's coming from, but she's not thinking it all the way through. Now, it was very cool that they had these parallels between Rick and Negan, because Sherry was saying things like, who has told us that before? That basically is referring to Negan. So Negan was saying the same exact things as Rick was saying. We're going to keep you guys safe. We're going to provide security. Things like that. That's exactly what Negan said to them. So it's kind of cool that there's that parallel situation going on. But the difference is, with Negan, it was with fear. With Rick, it's about cooperation. So that's the main difference that Sherry just doesn't understand. But what I really had a problem with again here was that Rick wasn't doing anything. He was just calm and everything. Sherry was calling him names, things like that, saying things that weren't necessarily true. She pushed Rick at some point. She was choking him out. Still nothing from Rick. I would assume at that point Rick would do something, but we didn't see anything from Rick, which was not in character for Rick in my opinion. But then as Rick is trying to keep Sherry off, Sherry ends up having her head hit the table and she falls and she basically dies. Now we have Rick panicking a little bit, saying, Sherry, are you okay? Things like that. Then at that time we have Andrea showing up. Rick is like, it was an accident, so that was cool. Just straight away saying, I didn't kill her. But then we have Andrea losing her balance and falling, and then there comes the reveal, and Rick sees that Andrea has been bit. So this cliffhanger is basically the cover of issue 167, the next issue. So the cliffhanger here is the cover for the next issue, so that was cool. But then all of this was build up, so the next issue is going to be very cool, because in the next one, we not only get to see what happens with Andrea and what Rick does and things like that, but we end up seeing what happens with the Saviors, because Rick just killed their leader, not intentionally, but still. So I don't think the Saviors are just going to stand down. There's going to be some sort of conflict, and that's probably when Negan is going to come into play in the next issue. But like I said, this issue was more or less a build-up issue. Did want to see a few things that I just mentioned that we didn't see. We still may see some of them in the future, but it would have been better if we did see some of those things. Now, overall, I actually liked the issue, even though, like I said, it was a build-up issue. I actually did enjoy it. I would probably give this issue a mid-good rating. Like I said, it wasn't bad at all, but I feel like it was more build-up than the story actually being moved forward. So, yeah, but overall, it was a good issue. I liked it. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.